Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Martin, and I am here today to talk to you about our final project that we are going to have in class. Your final project is going to cover pretty much everything that you've learned so far and then some, and it'll pull from some of your knowledge from some of your other courses that you've had as well. And we are going to cover your final assignment for your entrepreneurial marketing class. So, the whole purpose of this assignment is to develop a real strategic marketing plan for a small business, for an entrepreneurial business. I am going to walk you through the project now, and then I will have the assignments posted in short order so that you can go and look through all of them as you get to them. The goal is to choose a real business. It can be the business that you interviewed earlier this semester, or it can be somebody else if you feel like you can't get the amount of information that you need. I would prefer that you choose a business that has been in existence for at least 5 years, if you can. 5 years is definitely desirable because you're going to be able to get the most information from them. Starting not this Sunday when you normally have something due, but next Sunday, the 29th of March, is when your first deliverable will be due for this project. So use your time wisely, do your research, and get ready to rock with this. You're going to do analyses on customers, target markets, the competition, different channels that they use, and then you're going to write a plan for how you're going to actually execute the strategic marketing plan and how you're going to, what analysis you're going to do later to see if it actually worked. So, as I mentioned, this week we are in week 10 of the semester, which is crazy. We got a month left, basically, like 5 weeks left, which is nuts. But in week 10, which is this week, is going to be week number 1 of this project. It's a 4-week project. So we are starting this week, in week 10 is week 1 of the 4 weeks. So in week 10, this week, you're going to choose your business and you're going to prepare your synopsis. And I'm going to prompt that as an individual assignment. This is not a group project. This is an individual project that each of you will complete in class. Week 11, that's next week, you'll work on your customer and competitor analysis. Week 12, you'll work on the strategic marketing plan. And then in week 13, you're going to talk about your execution and measurement plan. And you're also going to create a brief slide presentation where you will record your presentation, much like I'm doing here for you now. I'm using Canva, where you can record your presentation and then share that in a discussion board with the class so that we can see what everybody did. So to break it down, project week 1, that is this week, I do want to specify with you, and you will see this in Blackboard as soon as I get it posted for you, that this part of the project is not due this Sunday. This part of the project is going to be due on the 29th. Okay, so that is 1 week from this Sunday. So I'm recording this today on the 19th. That is 10 days from today. So you all are on spring break right now. By the time you get back from spring break and take a look at this, it should give you ideally just over a week to complete this. So project week 1. The 29th is when this is going to be due. So you will identify and get approval from a business owner that you will use them for this project. Okay. I would rather you not use a business and make assumptions about the business. I want you to actually work with the real business owner through this process, because you're going to be making recommendations for their business that they could actually use, because you all are professional marketers in this class, right? So part 1, you are going to write in paragraph form, please. I don't need long drawn out academic paper type paragraphs here. What I need is for you to break down the different things that we need to know about this business, because I'm going to be reading about these businesses and I have no idea who these people are. So you're going to have to explain to me the current state of the business, the current situation that the business is living in right now. So what is the business overview? Who is the business? Who's the business owner? Where are they located? How long have they been in business? What is their primary industry? What is their mission? What things do they sell? What are they primarily known for? products or services? How large is their business? So all of these things are just general information that we need to know just to explain to us who this business is. Then I would like for you to tell us, please, what they're currently doing for marketing. Are they doing any marketing right now? Are they relying on word of mouth? Are they using social media? Do they have a website? And if they do have those things, make sure that you link them there or show examples of ads that they've done if you can get access to those so that you can show what they're doing now. Who is their target audience? So remember, the people who are actually your target audience and the people who you want to be or who you think are your target audience might be two different audiences. So tell us who the actual target audience is, who they're trying to go for, and then who they're actually getting. And because that's something that's really worth looking into. Then I want you to provide a SWOT analysis. You can use the grid, or you can break it down in 4 paragraphs of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and kind of break down the whole current situation of that business. Some key things that I want you to look at and be sure to answer throughout this information that you're providing is who are they currently trying to reach, which I just mentioned, what is working and what is not working. If they are doing marketing now, is it working? How do they know it's working? And what are the biggest opportunities out there in the market for them? Moving on into the second week of our project, which is week 11, that's next week. Our second deliverable is going to be the customer analysis and the competitive analysis. So part 2, your customer analysis, is going to break down 2 to 3 different key customer market segments. So we already talked about who's the target market that they intended to go for, or who they're actually pulling down. And of their most desirable customer, who is it that we're going for here? Who are these market segments and where are they? I want you to include their demographic information, psychographic information, meaning, why do they make the choices they make? What are their customer purchase pain points? At what point are they going to get frustrated and go to a different business or find a lookalike product? What are their buying motivations? Why are they purchasing the products that your client is selling? And then I want you to create a detailed customer persona of your most ideal customer for this business. Then in part 3, this is the analysis of the competition. So the competitive analysis of 2 to 3 direct competitors, ideally in your market, or if there's not someone physically here in our local market or wherever it is you're getting your customer from, who are their local competition? If there's not any local competition, who's their online competition? Because that can be a pretty significant competition for some people. Compare the value proposition, the positioning in the market, pricing, messaging that they use, different channels they use like social media, websites, advertising, things like that. And then identify those gaps in the market and opportunities for your client to fill those gaps. The questions that I want you to address in this section also are, what unmet needs do customers have that your client could then meet their need? Remember, at the beginning of the semester, we talked about what are the opportunities, what are the problems that these customers need to solve, and how can your client solve those problems? So that's what I want you to talk about here. And also, how can this business differentiate from their competition in the market? The next week, week 12, project week number 3, just to make it especially more confusing, your deliverable is going to be the strategic marketing plan. As you can see here, there are lots of different parts to this. There's 5 different parts to this. One is your brand strategy. So I want you to evaluate their current brand, or propose that maybe they refine their brand. Do they need a new brand? Do they need new logos? Do they need a new mission? Do they need to refine the way that they are doing things now? Or are the way that they are doing things now, is it working? If it's working, then talk about why it's working. what is their value proposition, and what is the key messaging that they're using to get to their most desired target market. Talk about the channels that they're using. That pretty much speaks for itself. Because we are talking small business here, I do want you to focus on things that are affordable. I don't necessarily want you looking at things like television ads or billboards or things that are very, very expensive, that are a little bit harder to gain whether or not you're actually being successful. So for a small business, I really want you to consider things that are very affordable. Social media, some Google, what are the best ways for them to get the word out, where they are going to get the most bang for their buck. And perhaps what are some things that they can do, particularly with social media in a posting schedule or something like that, where they can do it for free even, if they're going out there to get organic content. Then I want you to talk about whether or not any marketing partnerships exist. We talked about marketing partnerships and number 4, sales tactics as well. I do want you to talk about if there are any appropriate partnership opportunities. If so, I'd like you to name those and then talk about where a mutual benefit might be possible for both companies if they partnered with somebody locally or outside. Also some sales tactics. So what are their promotions, offers? Do they have any big sales going? Do they have anything coming up in the summer maybe that would be great to promote? And how the customer journey could improve throughout these tactics. Finally, I want you to talk about your content strategy. These are the different types of content that if you were their marketing person, you would create for them or you would recommend them creating for themselves. Video, reels, testimonials from clients, or a better website, maybe doing some digital radio ads or some social media ads. What would those ads look like? And so on. What kind of tone would you use? What kind of voice would you use to reach the types of customers that they're trying to reach? What I really want to see here, I would like to see some examples of the type of ads that you would build for them or a type of video that you would film for them. What would you do? Show us what you would do. Finally, in the last week of your presentation, week 13, you're going to show us a content calendar of when you would post their ads on social media or what types of things you would post for organic content. What platform would you use? What type of content? What kinds of themes would you put out? And what is the goal? How much engagement are you hoping to get from that? Then your metrics and your data plan. If we are talking SMART goals here and we really want to look at things that are specific, relevant, achievable, timely, so on. How are you reaching those goals here? How are you going to define success? You need to be able to track the data on the things that you're posting. So how are you planning on doing that? And what tools will you use? And then finally, what are your final recommendations for this client? And how do you recommend that they move forward? Because they're not going to have you working for them in the majority of the cases for long term. So how would you recommend they move forward without you after you make these recommendations? Thing about small business is they're going to have to be implementing this primarily on their own because most small businesses don't employ a marketer, or maybe they have somebody who works there who kind of does it on the side as in addition to the rest of their job. So how are they going to implement this? And make sure that whatever you're coming up with for them to implement is realistic for them to do. If they don't have time to post on social media every day or a couple times every day, then we're probably going to have to reevaluate the recommendations and suggestions you're making based on what's realistic for them to be able to do. Finally, the last thing for week 4, the last week of the presentation or of the project, is that you will give a presentation. I want this to be 10 minutes or less. Less is fine. I'm not really going to put a very specific time limit on this because I just want you to say what you need to say without a lot of filler and then move on. You will be marked off if you have too many words on your slides. So just make sure that you kind of organize them accordingly. I want you to include at minimum, the business overview, the key insights that you found during your project as you were working with this client, your marketing strategy, what that was, your creative examples of the types of posts or creative content that you would create for them, and the results that you're expecting to see based on what you're implementing for them. You can record this presentation, much like I'm using Canva right now to record this for you. It's pretty easy to do. You can use Google Slides, PowerPoint, whatever service you prefer, OneDrive, whatever you prefer to use. You probably will not be able to upload a really large file like this into Blackboard. So I would recommend that you upload it to YouTube or Vimeo or something like that, or put it in your OneDrive or put it in your Google Drive. Make sure that the file is set so that anybody with the link can open it. And you can upload the link to your presentation and your final paper into the appropriate places on Blackboard that I will designate for you. The final presentation links will be uploaded into a discussion board on Blackboard, because I want you all to watch as many of them as you can. I will probably say you need to watch at least 5. We've got a big class here. So I'd like you all to watch at least 5 presentations, respond to one of those 5. And we'll need to know which ones you watched. I can track all that on Blackboard, but it's easier if you say, watched or whatever, and I can see that. So anyway, I want you to respond to at least one classmate. Here are my expectations. You have to use a real business. You have to. If you need help finding a real business, tell me soon so I can help you find one. Local businesses that are in the market wherever it is that you live, or if you're not in Bowling Green, if you want to pick somebody in your community, that's fine. I would prefer that you not choose a family member. Okay, I would prefer that. I know that in some cases it might not be possible for you to choose anybody but a family member, but I would prefer that you not choose a family member. Reason being, you can get a lot of information from people that aren't your family members, that you might be making assumptions about the business just based on what you know of the business because you're related to them. I want you to dig into this as if you don't know the client either. And if they were coming to you out in the world and asking you to give them a consultation for their business, this is how you would do it. So I want you to interview the owners, managers for insight, kind of like you did during your first project in the first couple weeks of class. I also want you to have an emphasis on entrepreneurial thinking, which means customer first thinking, budget conscious business strategies, creative problem solving, meaning if something doesn't work, how are you going to pivot? If you can't afford something, how are you going to do something else? And then obviously very professional quality work. I try not to put too many page limits on things. You'll notice before that I did mention that there are some page limits. Those are the absolute most pages I would want you to give me. It's okay if you give me fewer pages as long as you have answered all of the questions in paragraph form, please. I do encourage visuals, including what their branding is now, examples of their posts today, examples of what their new branding might look like, or examples of what you would post for them if you were creating their posts. Canva is a great resource for this, or you can use Adobe, has a Canva type product as well. There's lots of resources out there where you can create mock social media posts or whatever it is you're choosing to use. And then your actionable recommendations. These are important. These need to be things that these folks can actually do later. Finally, this is how I'm going to break the grades down. I am looking for a comprehensive analysis of the business, of their customer segments, their competitors. I want to see your strategy come out. I want to see you be creative with your posts. Because marketers are a really weird amalgamation between a creative person and a technical person. Not everybody has both of those skills. That's okay. But I do want to see what you got anyway, because those things are important. Execution plan, how feasible is this? I want you to really think through, is this doable? And then your data measurement plan, and then of course your presentation quality. So that's all I've got for this project. Please feel free to send me an email if you have any questions about it. But it's pretty cut and dry. You're just going to go out there and pick a real business and start some writing. So we're going to incorporate this project into the next 4 weeks of class. That is going to be your deliverables for the next 4 weeks. So get ready. Okay. Thanks, everybody.